Okay, Angie, here we go. We want to welcome our guests back to Collin County Live. We are on Storm Watch.
Yes.
So we are in the middle. So we're recording this episode. We already have a little snow on the ground.
A little.
We
have a lot.
A little, really. But in snow measurements, it's a little. I think they said 2 inches so far. But the big storm hasn't even gotten here yet, which is my point.
Well, my point is in Texas measurements, it's a lot.
Yeah, but it's a little embarrassing, though, when you start bragging about how much snow you have, but you can still see the grass on the ground, you know.
No, not when you're here. Well, you can't brag to somebody who lives like in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Right.
But here, it's a big deal to us. So you can't don't take that away from us.
I'm not taking away from us. I'm not taking away from anybody. Anyway, so I think we should talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on related to the storm. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about a little bit of news in Collin County, as well as a Did You Know segment. And then a little later on, we have a portion of an interview that we did with FRS Credit Restoration, Shawn Lane. And he's going to bring us some information and news about credit scores. And even though you may not need your credit score repaired, you'll want to listen to this next series of interviews that we do with Shawn. I think we're going to do 2 or 3 interviews over the next few episodes. And he's really going to talk about how you get a good credit score and what factors you should be watching out for. It's especially good for young people who are just starting out.
Yes. So if we have any young people that are listening, pay close attention, because I know our daughter has lots of questions when it comes to her credit score and what she needs to do and to someday own a house and what her credit score needs to be. And I know Shawn provided a lot of good information.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can, you can have good credit per se. You can pay your bills and still not have a high credit score based on how you manage your credit. So we'll talk to him a little bit about that later on. So the winter storm is on us. And so what preparations have you made to prevent any disasters from happening?
Well, my birds are very well fed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And they have a heated bird bath.
I did see a lot of bird activity.
Lots of birds
this morning.
Yes. They're good. I did go to the grocery store, so we should be able to eat until Wednesday. That was my plan. So I hope it doesn't go past Wednesday.
That was the plan, but if it doesn't get above freezing, we may be here for a while. So we'll be. By the way, we'll be adding those videos. We have some videos that we'll be adding to the website. And we'll probably put them in the video version of the podcast, but we have some videos of people playing in the snow and the birds. And so showing you some of the things that our birds are doing while it's cold outside. So
yes.
So yesterday we made some preparations. We went and got some firewood, and for whatever reason, we've lived in our house for almost 10 years, and we don't really burn fires that much. But so yesterday we went in to get some firewood, and that was an interesting adventure, was it not?
Yes, it was, because it wasn't just our idea. Apparently everyone else I don't know how far away they came, but everyone else had the same idea.
Well, I knew we were in trouble when they featured the guy who we would go to buy our firewood from on the news. So I think it was on Channel 8 or Channel 5 news on Friday night.
Right.
And he was talking about being out of firewood. And that location is like right around the corner from our house. And showed the lines of cars backed up on 380, which is already dangerous without cars sitting in the middle of the road.
Right. Yes. yes.
So I think it took us about an hour and a half to get the little bit of firewood that we got. And but we are good for firewood, I think, through Wednesday. And so we'll see how we do after that.
But kudos to them, because when we were paying, because we're not proficient on types of firewood, I'm assuming this Randy's wife maybe was the cashier
I
of
assume.
Randy's Firewood.
Yes.
Yes. Well, she was very patient. She was very kind, answered all of our stupid questions, even though she said there was no stupid question. I'm sure that in her mind, she was like, that's a really stupid question.
Yeah, we weren't the only firewood amateurs. I mean, basically the way we buy firewood is we buy it like outside of the Kroger or the Market
Right.
Street, right?
Your 6 little pieces of wood.
And that's enough for us for whatever we're trying to accomplish. And so we weren't the only amateurs. There were a number of people asking questions. So if people can picture this, and like you said, the patience that they had to have with all of these amateur firewood people, there was probably, I would say, would you say 50 cars in line?
Oh, yes.
50 cars.
Easily.
50 cars in line and one cashier.
Yes.
Lots of people helping load the vehicles, but one cashier.
One cashier, yes.
And that was
Randy's wife, I'm assuming.
Right. And so so everybody would walk up there with a question because, again, if you're not into burning wood a lot, you don't know the different kinds of wood and why one type of wood costs twice as much as another. So,
Right.
So we ended up getting pinyon wood.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of middle of the road.
And it smells really nice.
It does. It kind of reminds me, to be quite honest with you, it reminds me of the wood they burn at the Cracker Barrel for whatever reason. Maybe they burn pinyon wood.
Maybe. I've heard it's good for warding off mosquitoes in the summer if you burn it outside.
Well, it's definitely working with the mosquitoes right now.
Yes, it is.
So, all right. So back to the winter storm. It's very cold outside.
It is. It's very hot in this room right now.
It is hot, but that's only because we're trying to keep our pipes from freezing. Some of our neighbors have already gotten their pipes frozen.
Yes.
So far, so good for us. One of the most sensitive areas would be in the laundry room, and we have the way I'm trying to conquer that battle is by doing little loads of laundry to keep the water running through the washing machine.
So we're going to run out of laundry eventually.
Right.
So are you going to put up a sign?
Yeah. So if you need your laundry done, contact us on Facebook and we'll be glad to, you'll have to bring it here because I'm not going to come get it. So, so the temperatures are very low. We haven't seen all the snow yet. I'm actually have the news up here in the studio, and they're calling for the heavy snow is just now hitting Collin County on the very western side.
Wow.
So it's supposed to snow all night. Now, how much of that snow dumps on us, who knows? But that's not all. I mean, come Wednesday, there's a 70% chance of snow.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I thought it was supposed to stop on Wednesday.
Stop what?
Stop snowing. Stop being cold. I thought it was supposed to be 60 by Thursday.
No, that's incorrect. I'm not sure who you're following, but it's just, no, it's supposed to stop snowing in the morning, and then it won't snow maybe Tuesday, and then Wednesday there's a 70% chance of snow. It doesn't come above freezing again until Friday. So, and then it'll be a balmy 36 degrees. So.
That is not the forecast that I saw. It was supposed to be 60 on Friday.
Yeah, these things tend to change. So I am curious about, for the folks listening, one, love for them to share with us on Facebook some of their pictures. We're going to share some of ours.
Yes.
And also things that they may be doing to avoid the cold, or, even if they're enjoying it or not. So a lot of folks in Collin County weren't born and raised here. So they may be enjoying this little winter weather that we're getting here. But when it comes to winter weather, I'm more of a renter, not an owner.
Oh, yes, me too. And so I do want to share quickly, if in the event someone comes across a injured, or not injured, but an animal that is not a dog or a cat in your yard that has been somehow affected by the cold, what they can do is they can contact Nature's Edge Wildlife and Reptile Rescue.
Nature's Edge
Wildlife and Reptile Rescue.
Okay.
So they're actually out of Fort Worth, but they will, if you contact them at their website is newrr.org. Or
and we'll put that link in our show notes.
Phone number 682-463-9453. They can at least give advice on what to do. I was seeing a lot of situations where birds they're freezing. So that's where I got that information, was some neighbor had found a bird, and that's who they contacted.
Well, our birds are not freezing because we have provided them a warm water bath.
They do have a porch. They're welcome to stay on our porch as long as they need to. And if they need to come inside, they're more than welcome to come inside.
No, you can't get them out. So our stories of wildlife here. And
yes.
So let's move forward and talk about some of the news here. The coronavirus is getting better in Collin County. In fact, some of this probably has to do with vaccinations, but we're down active cases. So last week we were like 4,200 active cases, and at the end of this week we're at 3,200. So about 25% less cases than we had last week. So that's a good sign. So that means we're probably obeying the rules.
Yes.
We're also, staying. We're staying isolated. So coronavirus cases are down for now. So so since this started last March, we have had 2 significant peaks in cases, and this last peak being the highest. This last peak started just after Thanksgiving. So now we're on the downside of that. We have a vaccine. I also understand that Collin County may have access to a 3rd vaccine by the 1st of March. So things are progressing that way, but still need to be careful and keep your distance from other people, wash your hands, and wear your masks, right? A couple of new school names in Frisco.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Well, when you got new schools, you have to name them.
That's true.
The one of them is just named after the Panther Creek. So you have Panther Creek High School, which is a new high school going in Frisco.
Oh, interesting.
You don't happen to know how many high schools they have now, because they have a bunch.
They have a whole bunch. I have no idea.
Yeah. So that's a new high school going in. But the other one that is named after some community folks, the Bubba. I can't believe I said that. I apologize.
The Bubba Elementary School.
Yeah. Bubba's Elementary is not coming to Frisco. No, it's the Buddy and Joni Minette Elementary School. Buddy and Joni Minette Elementary School. And this couple has been serving the community of Frisco for 40 years. So they were in Frisco before it was cool to be in Frisco.
Wow.
Right.
I remember those days too.
Right. So they've been around helping for quite a while. Buddy has served in the city council, and they've served with the school district. So well deserving of them to have a school named after them. And wouldn't it be cool to have something named after something with your name on it?
Yes. Yeah. The school that I worked at, so McGowan Elementary, Mr. McGowan was a teacher at McKinney High, right? And I believe he went on to be a principal, and I could be wrong on all those specifics. But what I do know is that he was a constant presence. So anytime we had little pep rallies, he was always there. It was really kind of neat to see a school and then see the person that the school is named after, because you don't really think about that.
Right. Or where those names come up with.
Right.
I love tracing names stuff back to where they came from, like we did with Collin County last episode when we talked about Colin McKinney. Speaking of names and things being named after people, this goes back a couple of weeks, but it was just published in the Dallas Morning News. The death of John Gay. So the John and Judy Gay Library here in McKinney. Mr. Gay was on the city council here in McKinney from 85 to 91. And then he was mayor of McKinney from 91 to 97. So during most of this growth, on the west side of McKinney, John Gay was on the council or the mayor. So
Okay.
he passed away in late January.
Oh,
He's 91 years old.
wow.
So another good person lost, but then again, somebody that served his community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of stories we don't want to hear stories about people dying. What we want is stories about people serving the community. So if you're aware of somebody like this that has served the community and maybe has something named after them, that would be somebody that we'd like to talk to
Absolutely.
on our show. So
Right. Yeah.
that's it for the news, because the big news, and we'll come back later this week to sort of follow up on the winter storm to see where we're at.
Yeah.
But so now I want to go into our Did You Know segment. What I want to do is talk about things about Collin County that people may not know that's happened in the past. So did you know that Collin County was once the location of a POW camp?
Yes.
You knew that.
Well, I knew that there was a POW camp, or still is a POW. There's like a historical marker and a park of some sort in Princeton.
Yeah, so funny that you should say that, because we know very well about that park. And I
Right.
did a little work on this because, like many people, I've seen the signs that say World War II POW camp, and I wondered if I'd ever been there. So I looked it up, and we've been there.
Yes, our kids played t-ball there.
Yeah, exactly. So the POW camp is turned into softball fields and a community park.
Yes.
But before that, in 1945, POWs from Germany were brought.
Oh.
Yeah, so they were brought to lots of places around the country. There was dozens of these POW camps throughout the U.S., but one of them was here in Collin County, and it was in Princeton. And the reason why it was in Princeton is because they had already established a migrant worker camp. So it was already a migrant worker camp there, but for a period of time in 1945, it became a prison of war camp.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they weren't here long. But what's interesting too is while they were here, the local farmers would hire the prisoners of war. They'd pay them $2 a day to come work on their farms, because all of the farm workers were in Germany fighting the war. Isn't that kind of weird?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Swapsies.
It's swapsies. Yeah, exactly. So if you get a chance and you're driving through Princeton and you'd like to see that historic place, it's just north of Princeton, and it's now the community park. And like we said, there's softball fields there. So, all right. So coming up now, we're going to start our discussion with Shawn Lane from FRS here in McKinney. We're going to ask him some insightful questions about credit scores and how people can manage their credit to have the best credit score. All right. Hey, Shawn Lane, welcome to Collin County Life. Thank you for joining us. We brought you on today to talk to us a little bit about credit. My first question for you today is, what is a credit score, and where does it come from?
Yeah, so credit scores. So, prior to 1989, when the FICO credit scoring model was created and introduced by the Fair Isaac Company, lenders had to evaluate credit by looking at your credit report and, manually looking into this stuff, as opposed to looking at a credit score. I like to say that your credit score does not get you approved. Your credit score gets you declined. And the reason I say that is just because you have a great credit score doesn't mean you're going to get approved for the loan. However, if you have a poor credit score, you can be automatically disqualified. So it's taken a lot of the guesswork for lenders and underwriters out of the equation, where they don't need to pursue somebody's file if they don't meet the minimum requirement in a credit score. So if they do end up, having that minimum requirement of a credit score for that particular loan, then the lender can dig deeper to make sure that they qualify. But yes, so the FICO credit score, that's the number one credit score used in lending today, developed in 1989. It's basically a range from 300 to 850, with 300 being the lowest score and 850 being the highest credit score.
All right, thanks, Shawn. So I had somebody recently. I think people are really not educated about the credit score. I had somebody sort of insinuate that the government was somehow responsible for the credit score. So thanks for clearing that up. So you mentioned the credit score range. What is considered a good credit score?
So I would say that, and there's some differences out there, people's opinion, but generally speaking, anything from, I would say a 600 to a 660 is a fair score. Anything from about 660 to 740 is a good score, and anything over 740 is an excellent score.
Yeah, I think I've been all over that place through my life, and I never quite understand how I got to that particular score, but it's almost like playing a game for me sometimes. But so I guess you're not born with a credit score, right? So how does somebody get a good credit score?
So developing your credit score, and by the way, I like to call your credit score your adult GPA. It's basically your grade point average. So many things we do today, the credit score is a factor in that, whether it's borrowing money, applying for a loan, whether or not you need to place a security deposit on a utility bill or a cell phone, your auto insurance, your credit score plays a big role in your auto insurance premium amount. So that credit score
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that the insurance companies had access to your credit score.
Yeah. And so they have a little bit different score. It's not a lending type of a score, but the reason they look at credit is because, unfortunately, credit has, I guess, points to responsibility. Somebody that manages their credit well, from what I've heard, tends to have fewer, what do you call it when you have an issue with your insurance? They tend to have fewer claims,
right. Yep.
Policy claims. People with high scores have fewer claims. People with low scores tend to file more claims. So it just points to, are you responsible with
so
things?
I know that like young people, they have a hard time starting out getting a credit score. In ways it seems unfair, but I also know that they don't have a lot of credit history, right? So we have 5 adult kids, and they all kind of entered into the credit scheme differently. Some of them struggled, some of them kind of figured it out right away. So how does somebody, starting out like that, a young person, what are the steps that they would take to get a good credit score?
Well, I think what we should do first is discuss, what does it take to even have a credit score?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And so there's a couple of minimum requirements to be able to publish a credit score. So, when you turn 18, if you haven't borrowed money or haven't been added to somebody's credit card, you're not going to be scorable. You're just not going to have anything on your file. And so the minimum requirements to generate a FICO score is at least one account that it can be open or closed that is older than 6 months, and one account open or closed that has reported in the last 6 months. And that can be the same account. Mm-hmm. And then a couple other little nuances. They can't be in dispute, so that particular account can't be disputed. And then it also, you can't have a deceased indicator on your credit report. If they think you're dead, then they're not going to score you. So basically, the minimum requirement is having an account that has reported in the last 6 months, and an account that has been on your credit report for more than 6 months. It can be the same account.
So how do you get one of those if you don't have a credit score? That's the tricky thing,
so
right?
The best way to do that, and this is for the parents out there that want to help their kids, the best way to do that is to add your child as an authorized user on one of your credit cards.
But don't give them the card.
Yeah, don't give them the card. And you have that option when you go in, when you call your credit card company or you go online to add as an authorized user, you do have the option of issuing a card or not.
Yeah.
And so I always recommend, don't issue the card. And what will happen is, the next time that credit card reports to the credit bureau, it will report the history of that card to their file as well as an authorized user.
Okay, Angie, that was really good information from Shawn, and I want to invite everybody to come back for our next couple of episodes. We're going to continue that interview so you get all the information. So Angie, now we're ready to talk about things that are coming up tentatively in Collin County over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we don't know what the weather is going to do, so a lot of the things that we announced prior got canceled this weekend. But you know what? That's just the way things go.
Yes, you're correct. So, happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
It is Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, my love.
And I'm here with my Valentine.
Yes, you are.
Yes. Trapped in the snow.
In the snow, in the blizzard. In McKinney, we have a 3-hour wetland canoe trail. So that is at the Herd here in McKinney. And you can get tickets through the Herd Museum, and their website is herdmuseum.org. And that is on February 20th at 1. And it's a 3-hour canoe trail.
Wow. That's kind of like that float. How long was that float we did down in New Braunfels? Was that?
Yeah, that was.
Was that 3 hours, or did it just take us 3 hours?
It probably took us 3 hours because, we had those little spots where we got like our butts hit the bottom and we had to get up over them. Yeah.
We had to walk down the creek. Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So also in McKinney, Lone Star Wine Cellars, which we've never been there. So I'd like to go there because this is kind of right up your alley.
Absolutely.
So
does it have live music?
It does.
That'd be up my alley then.
Yes. Live 60s and 70s live music. So this is
Wait a minute. I just want to clarify. I don't know why you think 60s and 70s music is up my alley. I was in the 80s, just like you. I was in the 80s. So
we like 60s and 70s music.
Well, sure. But 60s a little far back.
Okay.
70s.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. So again, Lone Star Wine Cellars, 103 East Virginia Street. So on the square in McKinney.
Okay.
And so what this is
that one on the corner there by Rick's? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's Wine Club Pickup Party is what this is. And so you will sip on the month's club wine.
Okay.
So there's two. There's a 2014 Big Red Cabernet and a 2016 Moscato.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's up your
right
alley.
Up my alley.
Right.
Okay. So that's at 5:30 Thursday, February 18th. Lone Star Wine Cellars. Then also, so this is something that I stumbled upon on Facebook, just perusing around.
It's surfing, I think they call that.
Oh, I call it perusing. Usually shopping of some form or fashion. Right. So there is a new shop. It's in McKinney on El Dorado. It's called Buff City Soap. And so they have all kinds of different types of soap and bath bombs and body washes and all. I don't even know what, but a bunch of different stuff.
I think I saw one of our friends post about going there and getting Valentine's gifts.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So they have a new shop that is open on El Dorado and McKinney, but in Allen on February 20th, they're going to be celebrating their 2nd anniversary. So they're going to have a bash there.
So they have an Allen location as well.
Correct.
Okay.
And that is at the Allen Premium Outlet. So that is 820 West Stacy Road.
Okay. Is
their address. And from 10 to 7, they're going to have a live DJ. They're going to have prizes. So they're going to give away some soap. But so this Buff City Soap, there's something to it.
Something about it. It sounds like a very clean type of place.
Yes,
family friendly,
clean and friendly. Yes, and I bet it's like smell. It probably must smell good soap.
If that's how you sort of establish a rating for how good a place is, how well it smells, then I'll go with that.
That's how I decide what kind of soap I'm going to use.
Yeah. Okay.
Based on the smellage.
Yep.
And also, again, apologize.
Is it smellage or smellage?
Smellage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild Birds Unlimited,
yes,
which I frequent here in McKinney, but there are other locations, not just in McKinney. I know there's one in Plano, there's one in Allen, but in McKinney on February 20th. There's going to be an event from 9 to 10. It's just an hour long. You can actually log on to their Facebook page and watch it live.
Oh, cool.
So it is 7 simple actions to save the songbirds.
Wow.
So they just kind of give you some tips. And
Are the songbirds endangered somehow, or is there a reason why we're saving them?
what do you mean? Is there a reason why we're saving
No,
them?
I'm just saying. Usually when someone says save the buffalo,
Well,
we're trying to keep them from being extinct. I didn't know the songbirds were endangered, so I was.
Well, I think being endangered is more of things like how to prevent them from crashing into your windows.
Oh,
that type of things.
So every day,
tips and tricks to birding.
Yeah. So, and I will attest to this. My philosophy on birds through most of my life was basically they're there, and sort of taking the biblical approach to not worrying about them, because the Bible says that God's going to take care of them.
Right.
Right. But I have noticed that since you've been going to this store, and by the way, I just want to mention, none of the places that we talk about on here are paying for advertising whatsoever. We're just talking about people that we have met and things that we have done. Right.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
But you have learned a lot about birds. And so I wish you could see I wish the listeners could see our yard in the spring, even in the winter, really. We are a bird haven.
Yes.
So we have birds here all the time. We have birds nest here. We've had multiple nests. And so we've watched them, the birds hatch, and some of them don't make it.
Some of them fall victim to the resident guard dogs.
That is correct. And then we also have had hawks come through.
Yeah, that's yes,
so we see the whole circle of life.
Circle of life.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's interesting. And like I said, we probably have more birds in our backyard today than most people do here.
Like literally today.
Dead in the wintertime.
I have some pictures that maybe you can share.
So it's yeah, and we'll share those in the video, as well as perhaps providing them online. But I say that to say this, is that you've learned what to put out there for them to attract the certain types of birds.
Right.
Right. And it's interesting to me to watch and see how the different species interact with one another, because they are all different. And so you have bully birds, and you have you had the predatory birds, and you have sort of the doves that seem to
I call those the lazy birds.
Yeah.
The doves tend to be a little lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Our state bird, everyone does not know that our state bird is the mockingbird, tends to be a little bit of a bully bird.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
So it's fun. So if you're not into that, you may want to check out the different things that Birds Unlimited provides, because that's what their focus is on birds. But as far as I can tell, they're not endangered in our backyard. So if anybody feels like, but we don't want any dove hunters coming by.
No, because that would be really unfair.
Exactly. All right. What else you got? Anything?
That's it. That's all I have for now.
Okay.
I'm hoping so much let's not forget about nickel neutering, though.
Yes, it's
because
still
that is coming up.
And I don't think it's weather related. So
it's not weather related, but just a reminder, February 23rd for cats, Plano Animal Shelter. You have to make an appointment. Getting your cat neutered only costs a nickel.
Sure.
So if you're just now tuning in, I'd hate for anybody to miss that.
Exactly. Or have time to save up. Right. So
right.
Nickel neutering in Plano.
Yes.
So, all right. So we'll see everybody later on in the week, and we'll update you all on the winter storm. Thanks for joining us.